And there are two important aspects that influence this. On one hand, because silence doesn't affect us the same way based on what we have done previously, and we are going to talk about this now, right? It would also influence even how we perceive time. But I've talked about this so many times on the channel. Let's see if I can shuffle it now. But we also have to keep very much in mind where it ends our ability to influence. That is to say, to what extent is it appropriate, or does it really make any sense for us to keep obsessing over something? We are also going to talk about this today, but let's start with what I was telling you at the beginning: silence. I have to understand one thing. When I am lovingly giving myself to someone, emotionally to someone, when I put my energy, my desires, my dreams into someone, when I would indeed be willing to have something with that person, whether I have it or not, that person has me. That is to say, in some emotional way, we can say that I belong to them, although we understand that this is a metaphorical way of expressing it. Obviously, we don't belong to anyone. We are not anyone's property. But in practice, let's say that in many cases, I am keeping it. Almost an emotional fidelity. That is to say, I have no eyes for anyone else. I am with that person. In my heart, I am with that person. I want to be with that person. So that person has me. To make it clear, they have me. So, does this mean that I have that person? No. In fact, if I am suffering with my feelings, if my feelings are hurting me, it's because I realize that, unlike me, I do not have that person. So indeed, at the moment when I consciously decide that I can't give any more of myself, that this doesn't make sense, that I'm having a hard time, and I step back and take space and distance, that prolonged silence, if the person doesn't reconsider their feelings and reach out to me, can lead to the point where eventually those emotions on my part, those feelings on my part start to diminish. Little by little, it won't happen. In fact, at first I will probably feel more intensely, but gradually, and fortunately for me, because otherwise it would be torturous, those unreciprocated feelings will start to fade away. What does that mean? That the silence and distance, that person who had me, who had something, will stop having it. In other words, that person is going to lose me. That person is the one who loses. Now, if in that silence, that distance, which in the end, let's say that someone who doesn't value you when they lose you, believe me, they won't value you in any situation. That is to say, if by doing this, which is strategically the smartest thing, really think about it. We value what we have, or rather, the option to value something we have and are not valuing arises when we feel it is being taken away from us. When we remember it with that nostalgia, well, if that person, despite this, does not reconsider, does not feel the need to reach out to you, does not miss you enough to want to contact you, to know about you, there is no regret, no desire, then that person, it's not that you are losing them. You never had that person. That is the difference. It's sad, but you are not losing something. You didn't have them. What happens is that you are becoming aware that indeed you were deceiving yourself. That when you were holding on to the hope that maybe someday, or I think this person feels more than they are showing me, maybe there are things I don't see. Maybe I can achieve it. The moment you stop deceiving yourself and step away, the sad reality is truly exposed that indeed no. The reason this person wasn't reciprocating or showing you is because they didn't have the feeling. And now finally, to be able to stop being in a situation where you are at a total disadvantage and it does you no good and limits you in terms of happiness, it doesn't matter if it's with that person or someone else, because in the end, we are here to be happy. But we are not programmed to have to be happy with a specific person. So that's why I say in silence, only the one who is not giving loses. It is that person who, if they were receiving that from you and counted on you emotionally, is going to lose you. But you, in the case that the person does not seek you out, are not losing them. You didn't have them, and now you have the certainty that this is the case. That you don't have to deceive yourself anymore, nor overthink it, nor ponder deeply, because If there is a way for that person to look deep inside, which sometimes happens, there are people who don't confront their feelings until they find themselves in the situation of no longer having us. But for that very reason, when you take a step back, you are placing this person in a critical situation. It's like saying, my goodness, think about it in another case, not even a romantic one. If it doesn't move you to think about someone, for example, when they have passed away, right? Imagine you have an acquaintance, someone you don't really care for that much. Maybe it's a person you don't even particularly like, right? But someone tells you, hey, Pepito, Julita has passed away. And suddenly you're like, and you think about the person. And you think about them from the most, let's say, affectionate perspective you could give. Because that's how we function. So believe me, when you've been there giving to a person, showing them, trying, and so on, if when you stop doing it, that person doesn't react, believing that they will react just to keep receiving more of what they are not valuing is deceiving ourselves a lot. So the moment I move to silence, I am no longer allowing myself to be deceived. I will have to face reality one way or another, but I want you to be clear about that. It's not that you are being passive, allowing this to wither away. It's that the only thing withering here, if this person doesn't seek you out, is what you feel. And what you feel, if it is not being reciprocated, you have to allow it to wither, because otherwise it is poisoning you, causing you harm for no reason. It is causing you unnecessary harm. That's why I mentioned at the beginning the need to understand when it's not that I'm giving up, thank you. It's not that I am, you are not denying the person. You reach a point where you have to understand that this situation, the only reason you don't want to face it or take the step is not because of the person, it's because of you. Because you don't want to face the pain or suffering that comes with having to discover a reality that is not a reality you like. That is to say, until I take the test, there is a hope within me that maybe this person feels more, that maybe they are not showing it to me, that later on they will show it to me. If I distance myself and this person doesn't react as I expect, I can no longer deceive myself. So, the idea of having to face the fact that I can no longer cling to hope is very torturous. Mind you, I'm not judging you. What I want is for you to understand what is holding you back. Because many times we give ourselves the wrong narrative. As I say, we hold ourselves back. For instance, saying, no, I have to be true to what I feel. And when I think about this person, it awakens so much emotion in me that I can't remain passive, thinking that I'm letting this die, that I'm leaving this here, that I'm going to lose the person because if I distance myself and this person doesn't react and doesn't seek me out, it's my fault for not being there for the umpteenth time, letting what exists between us disappear. And I ask you, what is there between you if that person, the moment they lose you, remains passive, stays still, doesn't react, doesn't seek you out? What is there between you? It's not about what's between you. It's about what is born and comes from you. And you cannot maintain it unilaterally. You cannot bear the weight it entails, nor can you give enough love for both of you to be nourished by it and sustain yourselves. So you are neither giving up on the person because, believe me, you usually have tried everything before taking the step, nor are you giving up on what could be. You are giving up on unilaterally continuing to keep a feeling alive on your part. Or in other cases, when you move to silence, you are allowing that, because this is not always the case, that is, the outcome will not always make that person remain impassive. But I mean, as that is the part that holds you back, right? That is your fear. Or sometimes when you are in zero contact, you feel very bad or doubt whether you should contact the person because of what we are talking about, right? For example, Amanda, sometimes I don't care if this person doesn't love me, but I think about her and I feel sorry. I feel sorry for the situation. I feel sorry. I am not proud. I don't want to leave this here. This person is my person. Truly. It may sound pseudo-romantic, but really, if you stop to think coldly that the reason this person is not looking for you or not reacting or not feeling the weight of your distance is because they don't feel... Does that seem fair to you? Does it seem fair to you to contact them again? What do you think it really means to them? I mean, if that person is not missing me, doesn't think of me like I do, doesn't feel my absence, what does it really mean to this person if I go back to give them news? Think about it within their day. I mean, this person is going through their normal day and suddenly receives a call or a message from us. But since they don't have the same feeling we do, oh well, look, it's been a while since I heard from so and so. That's it. Is that it? Is that emotional sacrifice worth it for me? Do you really prefer? I mean, to evoke that in someone who is not valuing you? Do you really not prefer to bet on yourself and give yourself the chance to heal? Because in the end, when we are unilaterally involved in something, or when someone has stopped feeling, right? Or they stopped seeing the potential in us or focused on someone else, whatever it may be. When the feeling is only on your side, what you deserve is the opportunity for that feeling to diminish and stop hurting you. You don't have to be suffering for someone who doesn't want to enjoy your company because your company is valuable. And I can guarantee you one thing. Maybe the person who will want to enjoy it in the future hasn't appeared yet, or you haven't met them yet. But that doesn't mean you won't meet them. You didn't know this person the day you were born either, meaning people come and go in our lives. The problem is when we don't know when it's time to let them go. Let's also consider this in the case where it's not someone who never could offer us anything, but rather someone who perhaps loved us, someone we did have, but at a certain point, that person changed. Their mind, their feelings changed. Maybe they started feeling something for someone new. The issue is that they decided they didn't want to continue. And here we also feel that somehow, if the person matters to us, we should fight for what we had. But if we are not the ones who have changed our minds, if we are not the ones who have stopped making an effort for the relationship, if we are not the ones who have noticed someone new, nor have stopped feeling, why should we be the ones to fight? It's not our responsibility. In fact, our insistence, our being there for the person, our unwillingness to accept their choice often causes ex-partners to feel overwhelmed and restrict us, right? There are people who tell me, I've seen a comment once, right? People who get angry also for having said, well, I followed your videos. Luckily, there are few of you because most do realize that it makes sense and understand it. But there are those who get angry and maybe blurt out because of the no contact rule. I lost my ex. No, you haven't lost your ex. Your ex is still your ex, so you haven't lost them. You think you've lost your partner, but you obviously lost your partner the moment this person decided they wanted to change their situation. And you, thanks to implementing the no contact rule, executed a strategy that in many cases could have made this person realize how much you're worth and perhaps start looking for you. Thanks to the no contact rule, you have avoided humiliating yourself, losing your dignity, and chasing after them. And sometimes it hurts us to think about what would have happened if I had been much more persistent. Well, I'll tell you what happens in practice. They block you, they distance themselves, they get overwhelmed, they get annoyed, and they feel you can't respect their decision. Instead of leaving a good memory, instead of planting the doubt of whether they are making a mistake because they realize you love yourself, right? They feel anxious at the idea that you can't respect them, and sometimes they start to treat you badly or restrict you. Or their new partner is the one who puts a stop to you. Because I tell you that in practice, when you are not able to respect a person's choice, to let them go and you fight for your ex, believing that fighting for your ex is going to bring this person back, trying to convince them, not allowing it, continuing to pursue them, the only thing you achieve is that in the end, your ex never truly misses you, because when they miss you, they are. If they ever doubt leaving you, they are reassured knowing they still have you. And as I say, to top it off, sometimes that struggle backfires on us. Then you end up thinking, you have to see. If I hadn't done no contact, because of no contact, I've lost them. If I had insisted, this is purely hypothetical. And as I say, in practice, what happens more often is what I'm telling you, which is that it bothers that person to feel that you don't allow them to choose freely because they are choosing freely. And they are choosing for it to hurt us. They are not choosing us. and then seeing that you insist, that you don't allow them, what it leads to is this. Hey, the first time I tell you that I want to end it, I still often express that it hurts me too, that I still care about you a lot, that I don't know what. But when I see that you are not able to let it go, my tone cools down, huh? And there I start to say uglier things to make you open your eyes, like I'm clear that I don't want to be with you. Or if I have to hit you with it, I don't love you anymore, right? That is to say, we often expose ourselves to much more harm. So I have to understand. Is it up to me to fight? Does fighting benefit me or does it sabotage me? Because it's not just that it doesn't benefit you. Hey, look, if at least it didn't sabotage you, I would even say, well, if you want to try, then send flowers. Well, tell this person that you love them, that please don't leave you, that you will die without him or her, that you need them. Go ahead. Try to propose a romantic date. If it didn't sabotage you, I would say, well, then you stay calm. But the problem is that it harms you negatively for what I'm telling you. Because at the moment when the person might doubt their choice or might miss you, well, instead of having to face the pain of not having you anymore and remembering those moments as something they no longer have access to, well, what do? They call you. How are you? Yes, I was thinking about you. Yes, we talked for a while. You get excited. Oh, look. See, being there as a friend works. They're missing me, right? And they hang up the call and you feel like you're closer. And that person feels at ease. Ah, they're here. Okay. And if they're here, why should I go back now? No. I'm going to meet up with that person I saw on the Tinder profile. Or I'm going to keep getting to know this person. Or I'm going to keep finding out, how can I manage without this person? Hey, maybe I'll go out on Saturday and meet someone better. That's just how we are. So that's why I say, no matter how you look at it, don't look at it from a place of fear. And above all, don't make yourself responsible for believing that this ends because of your lack of willingness to fight battles that aren't yours, or because you're allowing a feeling from a great love story to wither, which you might be experiencing unilaterally for real. You can go into no contact with peace of mind, knowing that it is undoubtedly a smart strategy. A strategy that will help you heal, see the situation clearly, and allow this person to introspect and realize what they truly feel or don't feel for you, to stop underestimating you, and for you to stop idealizing them and truly realize what they are or aren't contributing to your life. And well, from there, what has to happen will happen, and what doesn't have to happen won't happen. But for the person who is, let's say, on the short end of the stick, without a doubt, it will be a gain. Absolutely sure? That is absolutely certain. Well, if you had any fear or reservations or were at that moment, at this point, where you weren't sure if you were doing the right thing or if you were betraying yourself or life or that person, I hope I have conveyed this with enough clarity so that, well, you can be at ease. I believe that a clear conscience is the least we can have when we don't deserve it. If you liked it and you haven't subscribed yet, of course, I invite you to do so, to hit the bell, because I would love for us to see each other again very soon. And until then, as always, I send you a big kiss.